Hello students, welcome to this lesson on operant conditioning or trial and error. Operant conditioning is the process in which an animal learns a particular behavior by associating that behavior with a consequence such as reward or punishment. Operant conditioning can modify more complex and voluntary behaviors by associating the behavior with certain specific consequences. This is what makes operant conditioning different from classical conditioning, because classical conditioning modify an innate response by pairing this behavior or response with previously neutral stimulus. As we can see from the diagram, animals learn a particular behavior by associating that behavior with certain specific consequences. If the consequence is reinforcement, the likelihood of repetition of the behavior gets increased, and if the consequence is punishment, the likelihood of repetition of that behavior is decreased. The term operant conditioning was first coined by B.F. Skinner, a behaviorist psychologist who carried out a great deal of pioneering research in this area. Skinner identified three types of responses that he called operands that can follow behavior: neutral operands, reinforcers, and punishers. Neutral operands are responses from the environment that neither increase nor decrease the probability of a behavior being repeated. The second type is reinforcers. Reinforcers are responses from the environment that increase the probability of a behavior being repeated, whether to avoid any undesirable or bad stimulus as negative reinforcer, or to receive desirable rewards again as positive reinforcer. The third type of operant is punisher. Punishers are responses from the environment that decrease the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. Skinner carried out much of his research on many different animals by using Skinner box. There are many variants or forms of Skinner boxes. Let us see one variant of Skinner box that Skinner used to operantly condition rats. This Skinner box has various signal stimuli that include different colored lights, a speaker to deliver a sound stimulus, an electric grid in the floor to deliver mild electric shock, a lever that the animal can press, which is linked to the delivery of pellets of food or pellet dispenser. In this Skinner box, animals, in this case rats, can be conditioned in several ways, such as learning to press the lever, since pressing the lever will result in food being delivered. That means pressing action is reinforced by the reward of food. So the likelihood of repetition of this response can be increased. This can happen only pressing the lever when either light is lit up, and this results in the reinforcement of food being delivered. But pressing the lever when one of the light is lit up and the other is linked to the electric shock system results in electric shock on electric grid. So the punishment of the shock on pressing the lever results in the behavior or response or pressing action being diminished or extinct. We can all think of examples of how our own behavior has been affected by reinforcers and punishers. For example, many people start to smoke so that they will be accepted by a certain peer group. Acceptance by this peer group acts as a positive reinforcer for the smoking, and unfortunately, this is often much stronger influence than other advice and punishers. Animal trainers use a technique called shaping, which is based on operant conditioning to train animals to perform in specific ways. So, Trainers look for a natural behavior that, if modified, could lead to the desired behavior, and trainers always reward this behavior. They then reward a slight modification of this behavior that is nearer to the desired behavior, but not the natural behavior itself. Each step in learning process is called approximation. An animal may be reinforced for each successive approximation towards the final goal of the desired trained behavior. There are certain specific examples of where shaping is used include training guide dogs for blind, training horses for ride, training dolphins and killer whales at marine parks, training zoo animals for different application.